What's up, everybody? So I thought I'd take a break from the heresy era ramblings that I do, and Space Marine centric ramblings that I tend to do a lot of, just for a moment, and do a Xenos ramble here. This is going to be my love hate for the Eight, because it's a cheeky rhyme. You see, that's why I name it that way. But my love hate for the Eight is about the Tau Farsight Enclave formation known as the Eight, the lore behind it. Not so much breaking it down in detail at all, not at all, but just talking about kind of what it is in case you really don't know, and why I think they're cool. And then there really isn't any hate at all. I just use that for a cheeky title. I'll give my really small number of nitpicks, really only a couple of nitpicks that I have for the Eight, and kind of go into why I would be hesitant to just go full tilt into it if I were so inclined to collect Tau. So with that said, Tau are really cool. I love the Tau. They probably are second only to the Necrons in terms of my favorite Xenos Force. And even that, they sit pretty high, close towards the Necrons' lead. But still, I would say Necrons eke them out just a little bit. And for me, in the Tau, the Farsight Enclaves has always been my favorite thing about the Tau. It wasn't even really a question. The moment I learned about them, there's the moment I went, that's awesome, right? This Char Azambul type leader in the form of Farsight in his all red suit, which further seals the deal that way. I just think they're a fantastic group of Tau, and the Tau Seps are all really cool. So the Farsight Enclave is extra cool for me. But we didn't really get a whole lot of blow up in terms of Farsight Enclave lore and information until we got, and I believe it was in 6th edition, when supplement books started coming out as a thing for 40k at the time. The Tau book came out, and it got the Farsight Enclave supplemental book, and it was fantastic. Now, this is the same time that the Riptides were new as a suit concept for the Tau. It was a new thing for their codex, and then we have Farsight Enclave hit shelves after that. I don't believe it was too far after. I don't think it was the same time, but again, I don't remember that far back. So cool stuff for the Tau indeed. And in there was this group known as the Eight, which included Farsight, and he was the leader of the Eight. And you could think of this as the Enclave's greatest heroes slash commanders, and therefore kind of the ruling council of the Farsight Enclaves in a way, right? With Farsight leading and then having this council below him to really help out. And this was a fantastic idea. Something like this screams Imperium or Chaos Warbands. We don't really see this in Xenos. The closest we get to something kind of like this with gravitas and weight behind it, in my opinion, only is with Eldar and the Phoenix Lords. And that's a whole different can of worms, yes. That's a whole different kind of setup, but it's just the closest approximation, in my opinion, to the Eight that we have in the Xenos stuff. And it's really cool that it's a Xenos thing, because like I said, you could easily think of something like this amongst Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines, really. Or even amongst Mechanicum, which didn't have a codex at the time. But still, something like that, or just the Imperium in general and Chaos in general, right? Totally could have been done that way and would have been cool. But they took kind of a risk, and they did it with Farsight Enclave, and I think it works. Now, I'm not talking about power. They were considered pretty strong, I think, in the meta at some point, and then they kind of peter off, and they kind of make waves and headway again. And I'm not really talking about that. The meta ebbs and flows. Regardless, Tau are cool, no matter if they're considered a powerhouse or weak at the time. And Farsight Enclave, my favorite thing. The Eight, really cool. So, what I really like about the Eight, and I think what really helped kind of in their popularity for me, is that it wasn't just 8 battle suits go. It was each one had a personality, a bit of a backstory, a little bit of lore, and interesting war gear selections. And it wasn't just crisis suits. We also have a Riptide, considering the Riptide came out in that edition as well. So there's a Riptide, and what's cool about the Riptide is that one's piloted by an Earthcast veteran, a really venerable Earthcast held in high esteem by Farsight, given the honor to command a very powerful suit, the Riptide. It's got the Earthcast array, a pilot array in there or whatever, and I can't quite remember, and I don't really know if it's changed, but you can kind of sort of almost go back and forth in terms of, is it a setup in the cockpit to allow an Earthcast to pilot it physically there, or is it kind of like a remote control setup for the Earthcast back behind enemy lines? Not 100% sure on that one. And in the spirit of the lore, you can kind of view it either way, I would think. But I forget what it's specifically supposed to be in the here and now of 9th edition. Then we have a broadside. So we have 2 non-crisis battlesuits. The broadside is piloted, quote unquote, by an AI engram protocol, which is meant to emulate a great Tau hero. That's kind of the lore behind these AI engrams. It's the abomination of intelligent technology that would be the highest of heresy in the Mechanicum. Double so because this is the Xenos one. But it's what it is. It's an AI engram, which is really neat also. It's not just get another flesh and blood commander. So we have an Earthcast, and we have an AI program, an engram. And then there is a standard, the rest are basically crisis suits. And we have one that is piloted by a Firecast veteran, of course, like the rest are. But this one is basically a Tau version of a Dreadnought. It's still a battle suit, nothing really different that way, but lore-wise within it is a crippled, burnt up, kind of mangled Firecast veteran being kept alive solely by the suit's life support system, thus kind of entombed in his suit to battle, and it has rules appropriate for that concept, and that's pretty cool in my book. So 3 unique setups for the 8, and the rest that aren't quote-unquote unique are still very cool. They're still their own lore-wise, personality-wise, nature, demeanor, equipment setup. And they are the mightiest that the Farsight Enclave can muster, basically, in terms of individual heroes. So they fight great on their own, and when they do come together, band together to fight an opponent as one, their skills are legendary. Of course, I'm speaking lore. Their skills are legendary, they are supremely capable, and even though they don't synergize, they synergize by not specifically synergizing. It's a weird way to do it, which has been done before. But basically, because they're veterans all, and because they've worked together forever, basically, you could say for a very long time, they have waged war together, and they have honed their craft, their specific capabilities, which is why their suits are equipped the ways they are, and each one's a different equipment set up for each. So their unique variation of war they bring to battle with supreme skill, and it doesn't try to synergize innately with anything else, but through teamwork and just battlefield instinct with each other, they synergize and they work together very well. Again, all in the lore, the concept of it, which is really cool. One of the big things that really, the only thing that really kind of keeps me away from just flat out going for the 8 and collecting it, outside of the fact that I play Space Marines, right? And Necrons are kind of the Necron force I build up as a force, is the fact that it's not a force. It's 8 pilots in suits, which is really cool. It's very kind of almost Gundam feeling or mobile suit feeling. But it's, to me, not a military force. Now, obviously it's a military force. It's not an army. And standard 40k games have always been army games for me, right? You wouldn't see them in combat patrol. It'd be too many points or whatever. Power level would be too high, whatever. But my point is that you have basically 8 HQs, you could say, or 8 special character types. Not as special as Farsight in terms of his equipment, but still 8 unique individuals, 8 unique heroes against the world. And while it's a cool concept, it's the same thing that makes Imperial Knights very appealing for me as a pure Imperial Knights force. It's one of those things where all the years that I've gamed, it's always been force organization charts for the most part, and very traditional army type building, of which this is not. So that's kind of one of my quote unquote hates for it, a nitpick. They're really cool. It's something I do want to collect in time, but it would be something more so of a collection for the sake of collecting and not really feeling like I got an army. Although theoretically you do because you fit within a certain points criteria. You know what I mean? Just a little odd for me that way, but still very cool. It's just a personal nitpick. So, really cool. The only one that has an official model, of course, is Farsight. The rest you just get crisis suits, you get a broadside, or you get a riptide, and you equip it the way they're meant to be equipped. And their equipment concepts are pretty cool. I do like them for sure. It's something that I imagine we'll see pop up in a Farsight Enclave supplement book should it appear in 9th. And I'm assuming if supplements are going to be a thing outside of just Space Marines, if they're going to supplement book things for Xenos and elsewhere, that we'll see one for Farsight Enclave for sure. It'd be awfully kind of just bulky to put that in a standard Tau book for the Farsight Enclave. So that's why I'm saying I imagine they'll get a supplement book yet again. Now, they're the 8. A lot of people get 7 Samurai vibes off of this concept. Obviously, though, they're 8. And there's other vibes people get, Farsight being Char Zambul and Tau being very kind of almost anime mecha feel. You get some Gundam-esque, Mobile Suit-esque feels. Sure. But for me, the 8 conjured up a very different feel and vibe for me that I wish they would retcon to actually make it work better. Because right now, Farsight's one of the 8. I would love, theoretically, purely theoretically, because it's never going to happen, if, I don't even know if it's theoretically is the word, it doesn't matter, but I would love if Farsight led or had a group known as the 8 that he led. So rather than him be a part of it, he is separate from it. It'd be, instead of being the 8 commanded by Farsight, it'd be Farsight and his 8. His 8 chosen. His 8 heroes. His 8 mavericks or robot masters, and he would be Dr. Wily / Sigma. From the get-go, I got very heavy Mega Man vibes off of this. I'm not saying that's their intention, it's just what it emanated to me. Because each one's a unique hero with a unique set of war gear that no other hero kind of copies at all. And some unique special capabilities and unique set of skills, in terms of depending upon how they are equipped. Certain weapons are very close in punch, other weapons are far away fire support. Either way, they're all unique from each other. And they all work very well together. It's just a vibe that when I saw that, I'm like, man, if we just got one more, we would have true Mega Man vibes going on, which would have been awesome. I would have loved that a lot. And this is why I hope against hope that if we do get a supplement book for the Tau Codex, that is the Farsight Enclave, and if we get that book, I really hope against hope that they retcon it to be Commander Farsight and his 8 chosen. Because we do have some cool battle suits now. Not that we didn't before. We got some, since the 8 were created, we got some new battle suits. That much is for certain. And one of them is the Ghost Keel. I think of the two, really, the Ghost Keel will work a lot better than the Storm Surge for this. I think they could get a whole new member of the count of the Chosen, turning them into the 8 proper without Farsight. And it could be a Ghost Keel, or they could really beef up an XV-25 if they wanted to. Either way, a 8th member, Farsight now steps up to the role of just commander, and those are the 8 before him. And then you would have 2 data sheets, one without Farsight and one with them, with all 9 of them going as one, or with just the 8 going forth with Farsight's blessings, basically. Is it necessary? Of course not. They're really awesome regardless, and I want to slowly collect it either way. But it would be really, really just some cool Mega Man hints kind of overtly at that point if it was the fact that, we have the overall commander of the Farsight Enclave, Farsight himself, and beneath him, 8 commander heroes. It has that feel that would be supremely awesome. Anyways, that's my kind of thoughts for the 8 of the Farsight Enclaves of Tau. Really cool. I'm a big fan of them. What are your thoughts? Share it in the comment section below. Would you want to have Megavan vibes more so now that you hear it? Or would you think, no big deals? Or did you think of it yourself as well? Whatever the case is, share it in the comment section below. Thanks very much for sticking through it. And until next time, take it easy.